Welcome back. You are tuned in to Traders Nation. My pleasure to have with us here today book author Dan Bobinski, author Creating Passion-Driven Teams, How to Stop Micromanaging and Motivate People to Top Performance. Dan, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you today?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. Dan, now listen, there's principles and methods that top managers use to develop passion, and even engaged employees are dedicated to success. What would be a good example of that?
I think a good example of that is when the manager, team leader, any kind of leader keeps the focus front and center of what their mission and vision are on a regular, frequent basis.
Yeah. And how would you do that? I mean, are we talking company meetings in the morning? Are we talking maybe a once-a-week meeting around the big table? What?
That's a possibility, but it can easily swing into overkill.
Yeah.
We've got a chapter in the book called The Power of Water Cooler Conversations.
Okay.
And how managers and leaders should be including that company vision and mission in their everyday, ongoing, informal conversations.
I see. Okay, so we have a lot of tools that are available in business today. One of them, of course, is a big conference table. The other is internal communications, right? Maybe electronically. Would that help? Would that help out the message?
It can, and however form it takes is fine. The one thing that I emphasize is that if people don't keep that vision, that mission, part of the everyday conversation, that's when we see the individual agendas rise up and compete against each other.
All right, and
to create a team, we need to keep everybody on the same page, focused in the same direction.
All right, and those individuals that rise up can be detrimental to that team, right? I mean, if they start peeling off, going in different directions, one, they're losing sight of the message, and two, now they're almost a detriment to the team. Is that correct?
Well, you've got people pulling in different directions, so you can't make much forward progress that way. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, all right, that's a good idea. If you had four wheels and they're all facing different directions, you're not going nowhere.
Exactly.
All right, so if we learn from our mistakes, how do we turn them into a fervent drive for quality? Because let's face it, we all make mistakes. It's going to happen, and somehow we got to turn that to our benefit, don't we?
Absolutely. Too many times I see managers and leaders, when something goes wrong, they're looking for who do we blame? And who do we need to blame for this? It's like their first question out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And I advocate that they say, okay, what do we learn? Instead of who do we blame?
Sure. All right. And then, of course, and on the flip side of that is you learn from that. And then also there's a matter of managers have this ability. They always come down on people when they're doing wrong. But shouldn't we be also coming down on people when they're doing a great job just as equally, if not more?
Well, if we don't encourage people and reinforce what they're doing, then they're going to be always looking for something else to do.
Yeah.
One of the reasons people do well is because they hear those magic words, good job.
Right.
So they'll keep doing it sounds kind of psychological, but, behaviorism works.
Sure. All right. So how do we get people onto the team? Let's say we got a straggler or two out there. There's got to be something that we can do to bring them into the team. And if unsuccessful, then what?
Oh, wow. Two questions.
Yep.
The first part, how do you bring them into the team, is to find out what drives them, to find out what motivates that person.
Yeah.
We've got a chapter in the book called The Myths of Motivation.
Sure.
And one of the myths is that we can motivate people. It's a fallacy. The word motivation literally means a reason to move.
Okay.
And everybody has a reason to move. So to bring somebody into the team, we've got to find out what makes that person go. What holds people back is not a lack of motivation, but the presence of obstacles and resistance in the way.
Right.
So if we can find out what those obstacles are, what really makes that person drive, remove the obstacles, and then tie that person's drive to the company mission and vision and show them how their work contributes. That's how we bring them into the team.
All right, and the second question applies directly to that, because simply if you remove those barriers, you figure this guy out or girl out, and you remove those barriers, and now they have the least path of resistance, but they're still not motivated, then what?
If they're still not engaging, then they might be in the wrong job.
Right.
And, Jim Collins in his book Good to Great made a very good point about not just having the right people on the bus, but having them in the right seats on the bus.
Right.
And I'm not opposed to taking an employee and moving that person to a different position if they're going to be more engaged.
Right. Now, you talk about in creating passion-driven teams that management should uniquely manipulate individuals to get them motivated. Manipulating them, I don't know if that's such a bad thing, is it? Because let's face it, every individual is unique in themselves, and management, if they're smart enough, they have to be able to recognize the attributes of that individual and be able to not necessarily manipulate, but massage that person to succeed and do well.
And here again is where we're talking about what the definitions mean.
Yeah.
And I say manipulation is telling somebody what to do, even if it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But then convincing them using our reasons, not theirs.
Sure. I mean,
I worked with a company here just a few weeks ago where the senior manager, was telling his people to do everything, I mean, all the right instructions.
Yeah.
But he was telling them for his reasons, and nobody was engaged.
I see.
So when we got him to think about reaching out to what their motivations were and helping them realize it, at this way it's kind of hard because it takes time.
Yeah.
You've got to invest in your people. The time, it's no longer the raw product that a manager team leader works with. It's the people that he has to work with.
Agreed. All right. So if there was one thing in creating passion-driven teams that you really want people, that stands out, you want people to know about, what would it be, Dan?
I would say learn the proper core roles of the responsibility for the level in the organization. Each level in the organization, we have a chapter called the Management Matrix. Each level has specific core roles and responsibilities, and most managers and team leaders don't realize that their core responsibility is training their people and adjusting the systems that their people use.
Nice. Nice. All right. Where can we get a copy of Creating Passion-Driven Teams today?
Off of my blog website, which is workplace-excellence.com.
Okay.
And also Amazon.com.
Okay. All right.
Your local Barnes & Noble and every other bookstore is carrying it, too.
Fantastic. All right. Give us that blog once again, Dan, just in case.
Workplace-excellence.
Nice. Head on over there today, folks. Today we've got Dan Bobinski with us today, Creating Passion-Driven Teams. How to stop micromanaging and motivate people to top performance, after all. Isn't that what it's all about? Dan, thanks for being with us here today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. All right, head out today, Barnes & Noble. Head out to Dan's website, as you heard. Amazon.com is another great place you can pick up a copy of Creating Passion-Driven Teams. Just do it today.